Brotherhood. Obviously, number one to me is brotherhood. Iron sharpens iron. Men need other men. Number two, discipline. If we can't lead ourselves, we can't lead anybody else. That's my mission, is to bring back masculinity and to build a generation of masculine leaders, because we do need it. We do need men. We need men. Women need men. Children need men. And men need men.
Welcome to Forged in Silence podcast. Wow,
Trash.
That's
a new one.
If Steve doesn't do some sort of butchering of the intro, he's not trying hard enough. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Forged in Silence podcast, addressing issues men face but rarely talk about. Today, and for the next two episodes, we met Frank, and Frank is really excited to bring 6 topics with us. So we're going to split these up into 2 sets of topics per episode. We got a 3-part series coming at you. This is the first one. I'm not going to reveal what the topic is yet, because we're going to start out every episode. We've been kind of like fiddling around with how we're going to start every episode out, but we're going to start every episode out with a "how are you really?" Like, really, how are you? Because most of the time, as us guys, you say, "How are you?" Yeah, I'm good. Throw it over the shoulder, carry on, walk away. Nobody really wants to know how you're doing, do they? Or, I don't want to spend the time. There's a bazillion different excuses, but I think it's important on a men's mental health podcast that we talk about how are you really. So I'm going to start out with our guest, and then he can hand it over to whoever he wants to hand it over. So I'm going to hand it to you, Frank. How are you really?
All right. So it's so funny that you just said what you said, because before I don't usually sometimes I work this late, but I wanted to be like full energy. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get myself a cold brew from Starbucks. And I had enough time. So I was like, I can get back in time. I did the math in my head. I got there. I was at the ordering thing, the drive-through, and she says, "Hi, how are you?" Actually, did she ask my order? How are you? How can I help you? Maybe it was, "Hi, how are you? How can I help you?" Anyway, I said, I always respond. I said, "Good, thanks. How you doing? I'll have a cold brew." And while I was saying, I'll do an extra large cold brew, please, no ice, she answered me, and she's like, "I'm good." So I was like, oh man. I was like, see, I wasn't being honest. And and she laughed. And I was like, can we do that over? I was like, because I totally wasn't being honest. I didn't want to know how you were doing. I just said it back. I was like, I just wanted to place my order. I was like, let's start over. I was like, and we did it over, and it was cool. It was cool. And she played along. And so anyway, because it just happened and you just talked about that, I was like, oh, I got to tell them.
That's
so
awesome.
to answer your question, since you genuinely want to know, I'm excited and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for 2 things. One, well, for the work that you guys are doing, and 2, the fact that you got this stranger that you just met like a week ago, and you've invited me onto your baby for 3 episodes. So I'm feeling really grateful. Yeah, excited and grateful. And I'm gonna toss it right back to you, brother Steve. How are you doing? Really?
All right. Man, how am I doing really? I'm excited. I just started an internship, and I'm 3 days in, and I'm a million miles in over my head, and I'm struggling through each day, and I feel freaking awesome. Like, I I can see that I'm picking things up, every little, like, little bits and stuff. They're already putting me on my own, and they got somebody that's going to review everything that I'm doing. And it's neat to be in an environment where I'm not afraid to fuck up. And I have this willingness to try. This is new for this is fairly new for me. I have this willingness to try to the point where it's like, show me where my mistakes are, show me where these things are. I'm happy to give this thing an attempt. I know where my resources are. I'm even though I'm in a new place, like let's just figure this out and try and make the best of it and all of that. My very first day, I parked in the parking lot and I had a rock, I'm guessing, hit my rear passenger side window and blow it right out. And like I mean it's a paid internship, but I lost money on that day. You know what I mean? I lost money on that day. And like I'm not mad. I wasn't upset. I was like, well, I guess I got to pick up the phone and find a window. And that's it. And that's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling to be in a place where I feel respected. It's a small firm. And I already got a key and I already got a security code password, so that makes me feel like I'm welcome and trusted. And so um I feel great, even though I feel like I'm in over my head. I got a new routine that I got to figure out and all of this stuff, and I'm stoked about it.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm grateful for a lot of things, that's for sure. But I'm in a fantastic mood, and I'm grateful for having met you too, and to have the opportunity to do a 3-part series and share this with everyone and have some really awesome conversation. Robbie, I am chucking the ball over to you, and I want to know, how are you doing really?
Really good.
It's good. I'll take that.
Just like Steve, I started a new position on Monday within the same company I'm working for. Different position, different title now. The company is going through a rebranding, which is a pretty big undertaking for the business, getting rid of a big major brand and becoming our own brand, which is super cool. But it's very, very overwhelming too. There's a lot of work. I didn't know how much goes into, it's actually debranding from one brand, then creating your own, and how much brands control down to fonts, down to stickers, stuff like that. And this company isn't huge. It's in a few states, but it's just a lot of work. And once that partnership is done with the one brand, it's done. You have to be done. Like their stuff has to be gone. So it's a new title, bunch of new stuff. I'm super grateful to be here. I'm also super grateful to have Frank here. It's going to be awesome. Just chatting with them. I know I'm going to learn some stuff, and the reason this podcast is here is to help men, and I need a lot of help myself. And when we go to record these podcasts, it's always therapy for me. And I don't have to ask for help. I get to sit here and be a part of it and learn from 2 other men and hopefully guide other men that need help through some life stuff, this journey. So grateful and ready to hear Frank's stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Robbie. I'm glad everyone is in a great mood. If we weren't, that's okay too. That's what the space is for, right? The space is for asking, how are you really? Is the space to say, you know what, I'm having a hard day, and we'll have those. Those will come up, and that's why we're all here. It's part of what Frank is here to actually talk about: brotherhood and discipline. And it's probably pretty incredible what happens in the brotherhood when a dude's not having the best of days. So I'm going to just lob this one back over to you, Frank, because these are our 2 topics for today, and we'll figure out how we're going to mesh them all in and where we're going to go from, and maybe we can tie them in. We'll just see what happens. This part of what I love about this podcast is just seeing what happens and see where we go and see what we learn. So go for it, Frank.
All right, brother. Yeah. Keep it organic. Chat as we go. So I thought about this a bit, and yeah, as you're naming this, or as we talked about on our socials, I'm going to talk about the six key masculine virtues over the course of 3 different episodes. And I thought, you know, maybe I should start by telling people, who the fuck I am. So before, but that maybe I should crystallize the why of here's how I came up with these, rather than just like, yeah, so basically these are the 6 key masculine virtues and I recommend you live by them. Why am I able to speak with some level of authority on this? How did I come up with these virtues, and who the hell am I, and why should you listen to me? So I'm not gonna dive in too deep on this unless you want me to, because it'll take up too much of the episode. But Steve, you and I, we talked about how we both come from some struggle. So the whole reason I'm a coach today is because of the struggles that I've overcome, the adversity that I've overcome, and most of that, my if you will, hero's journey started back in like my teens, my adolescence and my teens. It was a really tumultuous time, and I was incarcerated for a good part of that. Pretty much the years of like 14 to 18. I was in group homes and institutions, mental health centers, shelters, juvie, you name it, you name it. But the last 2 years, I was in a boys' home, a boys' residential center, and it was in there that I experienced, those were probably the most formative years of my life. Probably also the most challenging years of my life. And also the years that I believe saved my life. So that's where it all began. And it was in this all boys facility. I was a guy who grew up without a lot of male companionship. I had a really, my dad and I, we tried. We had a rocky relationship, and it was hard. We struggled to connect. He did his best, I did my best. But I didn't have any brothers. I had like a couple male cousins that I didn't see very often. I had one uncle, 3 aunts, and I didn't see my uncle often. And I had no grandpas. Only grandmas. So really, my life lacked, my childhood lacked a lot of male companionship, and I didn't know how to connect with men. So when I got to this boys' home, I was very uncomfortable, and it was scary. But jump ahead and fast forward, it's my first experience with Brotherhood, real Brotherhood. Before that, it was imaginary Brotherhood. It was the Ninja Turtles. That was they were my imaginary brothers growing up. And I know you guys are 80s kids. So
I know. You had the Raphael.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can see
Yeah.
the size behind me.
We had a Zoom meeting just to meet each other and hang out for a little bit and just kind of like discuss what we were gonna do here. And that was just the inception of this. But like, we could have recorded that 45-minute conversation, because that's how long it went. We could have recorded that 45-minute conversation, and that was an
And made it
episode
an
right
episode.
there. Oh yeah, for sure. It was good. I cut you off, but I mean, that's seriously what happened. Robbie and I after were like, we should have hit record on that thing, because that would have been a great episode.
Going forward, whenever we hop on one of these, that's going to be standard. Is that
we're just going to go live and see where it goes.
Oh yeah, just fucking go live. Don't even hit record,
whatever.
Just make it live.
Just like, not even going to turn it into an episode. If it's good enough for an episode, right, we'll let it go.
So again, I don't want to drag this out too much, but I did want to take you guys back, and then we'll bring it back to the present. But I wanted to take you back and tell you a little bit about me. This was my first experience with male companionship, and Brotherhood is what changed my life. And it wasn't just Brotherhood in that, like, we didn't sit around, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya in this boys' home. No, it wasn't just a support group. This was hardcore accountability. I was 16 years old, and we were holding up a mirror to each other and saying, you didn't do this. You said you were going to, and you made this commitment, but you fell short, or you relapsed, or you said you were going to work on your anger, but you have not shown anger management in the last week or in the last month. There was a lot of that. And I learned that at a young age, and Brotherhood taught me that when it comes to men, We need other men. Iron sharpens iron. You know, it's not that women can't inspire us. It's that when we see other men, we see our equal. And if we are in our masculine energy, when we see that, rather than running from it or becoming shrinking from it, what we see is we might either compete with it or we might strive for it. We might try to emulate it. We get inspired by it. Men sharpen other men. And I learned how to lead through Brotherhood. I learned about accountability, support, vulnerability with men, all through Brotherhood. And that was my first experience with Brotherhood, was there, and it changed my life. Like I said, it was one of the biggest catalysts for changing the trajectory of my life and putting me on the right path. That's why I built the Iron Brotherhood. That's why I created the Iron Brotherhood, is because I see men like us
Yep.
in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, and they don't know that they need Brotherhood. Some of them might, but most of them don't realize that they're starving for it, or they think, well, I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I just started a new job. How the fuck am I going to cultivate meaningful relationships with other men? How am I going to do that? I don't have the time to do that. So that's one of the reasons why I built this, is because even in our 30s, 40s, and 50s and beyond, we still need Brotherhood. We still need men around us to sharpen us and to push us to hold ourselves to a higher standard. But the big but is, and cut me off at any point if I'm going on too long. I promise I'll tie this all together. Men men don't need men don't simply need motivation. Motivation ebbs and flows. It's like a mood. You know, it's like coming into this meeting and you ask me, how are you doing really? And I'm just like, you know, I'm discouraged and I feel like shit. In 30 minutes, you can have me feeling totally different. That's how I feel about motivation. It ebbs and it flows. Men don't need to invest in a serious coaching journey because they just need motivation. What they need is structure. They need structure, and structure builds momentum. So I was like, if I'm going to create this brotherhood, how am I going to give it a structure that is going to ensure that they actually grow from this, that they actually get something transformational, real substantive growth? That we don't need more information. A lot of people out there, they're listening to the podcasts, you know, they're reading the self-development books, but are they implementing? Not most of them. Not most of them.
Knowledge is easy to acquire.
It's comfortable.
Action is what makes the knowledge hard to see.
100%.
Right?
So I was like, how do I do
Yeah.
that? So
Yeah. It's
I was
action.
like, all right, it's going to be a 6-month journey, because anything shorter, how could we have real substantive growth in something less than that? It's going to be
Or
a
see the
commitment.
results, or see the
See
results of it's delayed gratification.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
getting-
You want to go on this journey, you need to commit. You need
Yeah.
to commit to a process. It's going to
Hell
be
yeah.
6 months. And then I need something each month to focus on. So I was like, let me look at the last 10 years that I've been coaching men, the last 10 plus years. Let me look at the clients, the men that I've had the most success with. What were the parallels between these men? What virtues did they embody that led to their transformation? What virtues did they embody that led to them growing and changing in a way that was lasting? So I put that aside, that with some research, that in addition to my personal experience, that's how I was able to distill it down to these 6 virtues, which I just want to say, I don't think that these 6 virtues are exclusively masculine. I don't believe that women cannot embody these virtues as well. But I do think that a man who is on a journey to cultivate more masculinity, to step more into his masculine energy, needs these 6 virtues in order to build that foundation. So, brotherhood, obviously, number 1 to me is brotherhood. Iron sharpens iron. Men need other men. Number 2, discipline. If we can't lead ourselves, we can't lead anybody else. Number 3, courage, because men need to be strong even in the face of fear. We need to remain strong in the face of fear, especially if we want to protect a family. Number 4, vitality, because we need to work on our external presence as much as we work on our inner world. Number 5, temperance, because strength is nothing if you can't control your emotions and your ego. And finally, number 6, integrity, because none of those things matter at all if they're not grounded in a noble character, high moral character with the intention to have a positive impact. So those are the 6. Those are the 6. That's how I came up with the 6. And thank you for going on that journey with me. Have a good night. I feel like the episode is over.
So you
See you next time in episode 2.
see you next time.
I'll shut up because I just gave you guys a fucking 10-minute monologue just to get a little bit of buy-in from your listeners. But yeah, let's talk.
You talked about Brotherhood being a transformative experience for you, and that is the number one thing. Do you make that the number one thing because that's where the accountability comes from? Like, that's where the support comes from? That's you say iron sharpens iron, right? So
Yeah,
if you were to take that one piece out of there, you've lost the iron that sharpens the iron, and you're just running around swinging a sword.
that's right. That's right. Because what's the standard, right? If there isn't brotherhood and you don't have anybody else holding up a mirror to you to say to you, bro, you said you were going to do this. You don't have a tribe of men who are all kind of on you being like, you told us all that you were going to do this. Then what's at stake? In a one-on-one relationship with me, okay, yeah, you let down coach.
Right.
That might have some weight to it. For some people, it has a good amount of weight to it. But what about when you have an entire group of men that you've made a commitment in front of?
Mm-hmm.
The stakes are now higher.
The stakes are higher. It's also like saying things out loud makes a hell of a lot of a difference than it does just roaming around in your own head. Sharing that with somebody sets the goalpost instead of waking up and going, I can move this goalpost today. Because
And how about in like month 1, for example, Virtue of Brotherhood is introduced. All of the men in the group are taking action. They are committing to actions that they are going to take that month in front of one another, and they're sharing those actions. These are my commitments to take actions that specifically align with this Virtue of Brotherhood that are going to impact my life. Now, what happens when you see another man in the group taking action and it's more impactful than the action that you were taking? Now, all of a sudden, your standard increases because you're like, oh shit, I wasn't holding myself to a high enough standard, maybe. I mean, look at what he just did. Now, I don't want to compare myself to him, and his journey is his, but I'm inspired because I just watched him do that, and it had a major impact on his life. I could do that. I wasn't holding myself to a high enough standard. I could hold myself to an even higher standard now. We get inspired when we see other men doing the same thing.
And I'll share a story that directly relates to this. I don't know if you got anything, Robbie, but I'll share a story that directly relates to this. And I think, and this is a recent story because I've gone back to how CrossFit's affected me so far. And CrossFit right now, it's co-ed. There's men and women there, and there's the men and the women kick my ass on a regular basis. Like they can run circles around me, but I show up there and they still accept me for not being near as good as them. And I see these guys lifting weights that are more than me. I don't want to be jacked. This is the last thing I want. Like, I don't really care to be big, but I want to be fit. And I want to be toned. I want to, like, that's the physical presence I want to have for myself. That's where I see me feeling good. I like my flexibility. I like my mobility, and I want to keep that sort of that lean profile. So, but CrossFit pretty much does that for you because it's not a weightlifting or a bodybuilding sort of thing. It's a lot of functional body movement and cardio. And I'm watching these people just basically tool me on a regular basis with support. And it helps drive me. I'm like, this if I keep doing this, I can be like that. Right? It's not the other way around. It's not discouraging. I'm watching them do that, and you can see they've been around for a while. They know what they're doing, and you're right. It's more inspiring than it is anything else, because if I keep showing up, I can keep doing that. And I have pictures of myself with my shirt off, starting in September of last year, when I started eating paleo and I started eating healthier and looking at what I was putting into my body, like reading a book or whatever it is. It's just what you ingest, you're going to get in return. And so I have pictures of what I looked like when I started, and I have pictures of what I look like now. And you should have seen, this is going to be very honest and you should have seen how excited I was when I was like, I got like little baby pecs, right? Like this is, I wasn't at the point where I had man boobs, but I was like, I got little baby pecs. Like I'm starting to get definition here, and I'm starting to like thin out, and you can kind of see a little ab sort of button thing showing up, like that
Hell
sort of
yeah.
stuff. I've got this before and after and during kind of thing. And then I'm walking around and I've got this mirror in my living room, and I don't have my shirt on, or I got a short sleeve shirt on, and then I see the vein in my arm in a reflection, and I'm
That
like,
feels good.
the fuck? No way. Like that, I'm like, okay, so I'm leaning out and I'm gaining a little bit of muscle, body fat's disappearing a little bit, and I'm gaining muscle in these spots, and it's been like 6 months, 5 months, and it's taken a while, but I'm like, hey, like I can see my progress, and I can see like the fruits of the work, but it takes time, and it's so hard to like wrap your mind around that. And the CrossFit just in general, because I was like the worst person, one of the worst persons in the people in the room, and I'm, I would consider myself decently fit, but um, it's been a pretty emotional experience starting to believe in myself in a way that I'm entirely capable of achieving those things as long as I put my mind to it. And and I know we're talking about brotherhood, and I've tangented a little bit, but I don't have really
I think
a
it's all
group.
connected.
Yeah, it is.
What helped you change your mindset and start believing in yourself? That's
Yeah, well,
totally tied to the brotherhood.
it's and I don't really have really a lot of male influence in my life. Robbie's one of them. Robbie's one of them. The dude runs 100-milers like it's a joke. I think, and he knows people that run 100-milers like it's a joke. But that inspires the fuck out of me.
Hell
Even
yeah.
though I tease him all the time, I'm like, dude, you're running up hills, and I see people when I'm hiking 14ers run, and the first thing I want to do is trip them, and that's because that seriously, I'm like, we should just trip that fucker, because like it's ridiculous, but it's so awesome. It's so awesome that they can even do that. You're just making me look bad. That's all. I don't know. It's the truth. That's what goes through my head.
I, I'm thinking about brotherhood here, and I want to get your definition of a brotherhood that has benefits. I know growing up with, you know, my so-called brotherhood, it was not the best brotherhood. But you know what? I got love from them. They supported me. Did we do bad stuff? Yeah, it was the support. There was love. There was always having your back. But the shit we did was not good. And you can still see that now. And with the divorce rates and boys growing up without fathers and falling into these so-called brotherhoods of friends, a lot of them don't have fathers themselves, and you hear them say, I have someone that's got my back all the time. And sometimes society says, well, you just need to find peers and all this other stuff, but I know your brotherhood is something different. How do you find that brotherhood of men to lift you up, and what do you look for in that brotherhood?
Great
So
question, Robbie.
yeah, for the Iron Brotherhood, Or are you asking me about
Yes.
my personal connections with men outside of the Iron Brotherhood? Or are you asking me how I choose men and how I vet them and see if they're aligned for the brotherhood that I built?
I want to know how like you came. So your brotherhood was in the when you were 14. That was
Yes.
some type of brotherhood. So you've grown up with the brotherhood, and now you expect something from brotherhood, and now you've created a brotherhood.
Yes.
What are those things that you look for in men and kind of require to start?
Yeah. It's interesting that I asked you to clarify your question, because when I think about what my answer would be to the two possibilities, I thought, well, it's funny because the answer is kind of the same anyway. Um, I think that men. It's interesting what you said about there was some bad, but there was love. Um, I actually think that most men are surrounded. Not everybody. There are some guys that have no male connections, but I think in general, what I found is that most men are surrounded or have some kind of circle, but yet they're still starving. And that starving and that yearning may be something that is deep in their unconscious and in their deep in their psyche, and they're not aware of it until they get a taste of what alignment feels like when they enter into a brotherhood or they get around men who are aligned. Hello, right here, that synchronicity that we felt when we hopped on a call to just do a vibe check. Well, it wasn't just a vibe check, it was crazy vibration. And then 45 minutes later, we were like, why didn't we fucking record that? Because that's what happens when you get around men who are your peer in many ways, in a similar season of life and on a similar journey as you, values aligned. We share similar values. That's what I look for. I'm not necessarily looking for guys who are already embodying these virtues that I've talked to you about, because that's why they're going on this journey. I'm looking for guys who want to. I'm looking for guys who want growth, who are willing to step out of their comfort zone. Like Steve said earlier, you are in a situation at this new job where, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I heard is
Put
that you
words in my
are
mouth. Go for it.
incredibly uncomfortable, and yet you are excited because the discomfort means you're growing at a faster pace,
Yeah, like
and you're
that's
grateful for that.
yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to be around men in my personal life and also to build and add men to this brotherhood who are willing to be uncomfortable, who are striving to reach their maximum potential, and who are willing to face scary things in order to do that. That's what I want. That's the prerequisite. That's how I vet my guys. Are you willing to go to uncomfortable places? I want to create uncommon bonds. I want to create uncommon bonds. So in order to create uncommon bonds, I have to do uncommon things, and we have to do uncommon things. And in the Iron Brotherhood, there are uncommon challenges, and that's why they connect in such a special way. So I need to make sure before I allow anybody into that space, is masculinity important to you? And are you willing to get uncomfortable in front of a group of men in ways that you may never have been uncomfortable before? If they answer yes to both of those questions, and they're between the ages of, like, they're in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, they're a good fit. They're a good fit. So I think that answers your question. It's about, to me, it's not that you can't find love with misaligned men. You know, a lot of guys are still hanging out with their drinking buddies from college. That's what we know. It's hard to cultivate relationships that are meaningful in our 30s, 40s, and 50s when we're a parent or when we're working or, a husband or whatever. So we're hanging out with our drinking buddies. And what do we do when we hang out with them? Either we drink or we watch them drink, or we're hanging out with people who have settled for a life of mediocrity, because that's what we know.
That was
And deep
me.
down, we're starving
Mhm.
and we don't know it. Some of us do, but we don't know what to do about it, or we feel bad letting those people go. But that's the whole point of the Iron Brotherhood, is that we create a tribe that most men don't realize they've been starving for.
I have way less today than I had 5 years ago.
Right?
And I'm absolutely grateful for the less that I have
Mm-hmm.
than I did 5 years ago. And I mean, I had way the hell more 5 years ago than what I have now.
Boom.
But I believe in myself right now. And I didn't 5 years ago. And the value of that, you can take everything away. Because I'm more willing now to go and step into a giant pile of flaming shit just to know that I can walk out of it again. That's it.
Less men, more alignment, or more men, less alignment. I'll take less men. I'll take less men, more alignment any day. Yeah.
The funny thing is, too, is once you start to get this mindset, you get excited about going into that fire.
Mhm.
I have to now surround myself with men that want to go in that fire with me. If you don't want to go in that fire with me, this may sound fucked up, but I don't want anything to do with you. It
That doesn't
That's
sound fucked
fucked
up.
up. It
That
doesn't
well,
sounds like
well,
you
just
have a standard of
it's a
person that you're willing to associate with.
it's a boundary, right? But this is where my mind tells me that I'm wrong. Growing up in society, told to love everyone, be kind to everyone. I can be kind. I don't have to love you, but I do not have to hold your hand into something that I don't believe in anymore, or you can't be there with me to grow. I have to leave you. Doesn't mean I dislike you or hate you, but we have no similarities. There's no connection, and I must leave you. And I think society will get that twisted and be like, why are you abandoning so and so? And you were talking about college buddies or high school buddies. I know now those I moved away from all my high school friends when I was pretty young. All I don't talk to them much anymore, but I would get calls or texts, when are you coming back to see us? I'm not. I'm not. I'm sorry. We don't align anymore. Like, oh, you're so fucked up. You don't love us, or you're not friends with it. No, man, we're not the same anymore. I'm sorry. Um, then it hurts their feelings. Then of course, if where I'm at, my mind will start playing that, that game of ruminating and, oh, poor me or poor them, whatever. Uh, I just think a lot of men need to, and a lot of this has to do with their relationship with their wives, their kids, and other things too, is be able to step outside of that box and find something that they align with. If your partner or your family or your kids are not letting you do that, there needs to be a deep conversation, because that's a lot of things I see with men's mental health now is they're crying for help. Their spouse, their family, or their kids are like, "You're okay. We love you for who you are," but they can't go out and get that help because they're being held back by that, and it's really sad.
It is
Uh,
sad. Yeah. And I just to double down on what you said, because I 100% agree with you. Um, to the fathers who are listening, the Iron Brotherhood isn't just for fathers. It's for anybody who wants to be a masculine leader in any way, whatever role it is. You don't have to be a father to be masculine. But to the fathers, when it comes to brotherhood, your kids watch how you interact with other men, and they're actually learning from that. So if you're exemplifying to them, if you're showing them and modeling to them that it's okay to keep people around with misaligned values, because loving them and not abandoning them is more, and ultimately having yourself be held back is more important than being able to sever that tie from a place of love, self-love, and love to them. That's what you're showing your kids. That's what they're seeing. And I think that brotherhood is something that we're not really taught. So the fathers out there embodying brotherhood, even at this time in your life, if you have kids, if you have kids who are watching you, that you're modeling behavior in front of, that's what they're going to see from you. They're going to see that you have a standard, that being in your space and being able to access your energy requires certain things. You have a standard. And I think that's a good thing. And I'm actually going to go one step farther and say that it is incredibly unhealthy, not just to you, but to the people that you are ahead of, to continue being around them. Because even though you stepping away and severing that tie is going to hurt initially, every time they're around you, and they hear about your wins and there's all these things that are going on in your life that they can't relate to, deep down they think that you think you're better than them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's worse. That's inherently worse. It's exponentially worse. So no, it's just it's unhealthy for everybody when it's that misaligned. And unless we're taught that, which we're typically not, and unless it was exemplified to us of, no, we have a standard, and that standard is that we spend time around values aligned people, we have to figure that out on our own. So exemplify it to your kids through the way you engage in brotherhood and the way you interact with other men. Yeah.
It's hard to realize that that's a thing that you need, because it seemed to fall very low on my totem pole of things that I didn't even recognize that I needed. But I'm still today, and I think that's part of what I'm searching for, is some healthy examples of men to walk alongside. I mean, I've got Robbie and I've got a couple of guys. I'm looking for a healthy example of men right here down the road, 20-minute drive, 30-minute drive, something like that. And I mean, I'm putting myself out there more and more, and everyone's got their lives and everyone's got their groups of friends. And when you're in a new place, I've only been here for a year. When you're in a new place, finding a group of men, like, I think Robbie almost asked that question, like, how do you find those people? Right? Like, finding those people, there's needles in the haystack walking around all over the place, but they're just not walking advertisements because they're already comfortable in their own skin. Right? They're not going out waving a flag saying, "Hey, dude, if you're willing to grow, let's tag along."
Right.
You already have to start growing for them to even, for you to be even noticed. That's what I've learned. Like, you have to want it, and then you have to go and get it. And when you go and get it, they'll be there. You just have to keep on trying, because it doesn't just show up and slap you in the face unless you have an iron brotherhood like what you have, and you have a program set up where there's already dudes there. There's already dudes that you trust. You have a leader, and we're going to develop these things. And you're like, a dude that's like, shit, this is something I need in my life. Like, whatever I'm doing right now isn't working, and it's lonely, and I need a change, and I need some dudes to help me get there, because fuck, I don't know how. Because that was me. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know where to start. I don't know who to talk to. And then when you say, I don't know where to start and I don't know who to talk to, it feels almost impossible to take the next step.
I know. I'm smiling and nodding because I'm like, yep, I know. I felt it. And it's one of the biggest reasons why I built this. It's one of the biggest reasons why I built it is because it solves that problem. You know, a lot of guys, especially, again, peers in our age group in this season of life, you know, they might meet somebody at the gym and you might connect while you're at the gym. But men are, you know, often uncomfortable asking a bro out on a bro date, you know, and being like, so do you want to go beyond this? Like, do you want to exchange numbers? Do you want to like hang out? Like, you know, and feeling somebody out. It's, or you'll do what I do with one of my buddies at the gym, which is we keep saying we're going to do it, but it's hard to actually like make sure that it happens. So in the Iron Brotherhood, the structure is provided for you. You guys are going to see each other every single week in these meetings. It's going to happen. And then in the interim time between these meetings, they have this group chat, and I am on their asses making sure that they are engaging daily, that there is daily interaction. This is not just some week to week thing. This is every single day when you wake up, you know that you have a brotherhood backing you. They're checking in on you. You're checking in with them. There's engagement daily. It changes your life, and you suddenly feel a sense of belonging, like you belong to a tribe. And yes, it's virtual, but you know what? 4th of July weekend, We already got 5 confirmed out of the 8 that are in the current Iron Brotherhood cohort that I'm running. 5 guys confirmed. Some are hopping on planes, and we're meeting in person. And we're meeting in person for a weekend because the vibe and the tribe is so powerful that they're like, no, we need to connect. And here we have these guys in their 40s and 50s that are like hopping on a plane. We're talking dads, husbands, and they're taking off of work. They're hopping on a plane. They're making it happen. And we're going to get together in real time. Yeah.
When we're done this 3-part series, ask one of those guys if they want to come join us.
Okay.
I say
Okay.
that because why not share the experience? Like, I want to know from his heart how he's changed, what's happened, where he was before, and where he was after. Like, I want to hear that. I want to hear that from a dude who's spent that much time learning about himself in such a short period of time.
Yeah. I would
So,
love to do that, man. I
yeah,
would
man,
love that.
connect us, Robbie. What do you think?
I think it'd be awesome. I
Yeah.
was. You brought up loneliness, and a lot of times men know they're lonely. Sometimes they don't know how to put it into words, but they're surrounded by family, friends, spouses, but they feel lonely. I've experienced this. I think Steve experienced too. I don't know if you have, Frank, but what do you say to those men that feel this loneliness? They don't know how to put it into words for a lot of reasons. A lot of times, being masculine. Once we know how to be masculine, it's okay. It's easy, right? But they feel like they're masculine, and if they want to tell someone that they're lonely, that makes them less of a man. We see that a lot in this time and day that, you're less of a man if you talk about your emotions. Us 3 right now, we're like, fuck that. Let's sit and talk about our emotions. We know we're men. We love each other, all that stuff, right? That's how we find our who, all that. But what do you say to men that feel this loneliness and don't know how to put it into words and reach out to another man?
So, funny enough, that is one of the quickest hurdles that we overcome in the Iron Brotherhood. Is I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, there's other challenges that take time, and I have to really keep pushing and doubling down on it for the transition to happen and for them to buy in or to have a mindset shift. This is introduced in meeting number 1. I break down Brotherhood into 4 components: accountability, support, camaraderie, and fucking vulnerability. And I start pushing it in meeting number 1. I don't care how uncomfortable the guys are. I don't care if I get crickets and silence. I call people out. I say, share something. Tell me something about yourself. How are you feeling? What's going on? What are you afraid of? How embarrassed are you right now? And I push it, and I push and I push and I push and I push, and then they start disarming themselves and they start letting their guard down. That's one of the foundations that we build upon, is that, because I agree with you. It's not non-masculine to share your feelings. It's maybe non-masculine to let your feelings drive you and to let them rule you. And we'll get into that later when we talk about temperance, but it is actually, I think vulnerability is a key component of Brotherhood. And I foster a lot of that. I encourage a lot of it. Vulnerability through shares like that, of like, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling sad, I'm depressed, crying in front of each other, all of those things. And also vulnerability through embarrassment, which is something that I get from my acting background, that I think that creating a space where men can be embarrassed in front of each other actually forges bonds. There's a lot of banter and a lot of silliness, even ridiculousness, in the Iron Brotherhood, to balance out some of the confronting work that we do. And there's a lot of toilet humor and body humor and fart humor. And
It's dudes, man. We could have a conversation about taking a shit for half an hour.
right, exactly. But that said, some of these guys, not so much. Some of the guys are kind of just like, what I found is that, if we could talk about farting for a second, is that it is the universal equalizer.
Everyone does it.
Well, right. It makes it humanizes all of us. I don't care what your religion is or what your politics are, what your beliefs are, what age you are. This is something that humanizes all of us. But that said, even though men, out of the two genders, men tend to be the ones who are more inclined to fart around each other, I would say that while there's definitely like those guys out there who will fart in front of just anybody, and respect to those guys, I'm not one of them. I'm not that confident. I would say that the majority of us probably have a handful of men. Like maybe Steve, you'll fart in front of Robbie, and vice versa. But think about how much trust needs to be cultivated first before you're comfortable doing that. So I like to take the reverse approach in the Iron Brotherhood, which makes everybody uncomfortable really early on. Is like, how about we reverse the order, and instead of waiting for you guys to get comfortable in front of each other, how about we build comfort and familiarity by doing these uncomfortable things first before you're comfortable. And the next thing you know, I get a
Break the
lot.
ice.
Well, I get so much pushback. I get so much pushback, but I don't care because I'm just like, we're gonna do this. Next thing you know, they're like, man, I feel like I could tell these guys anything. And they can't necessarily put their finger on why. And I'm like, I know why. I know why. Because I made you do embarrassing, uncomfortable things around each other early on, and you got over that first. That was the foundation
It
for
took
your
the
brotherhood.
shield down.
Yeah. Yeah. The self-image mask is removed. It's death of the ego. It's being willing to get ugly, goofy, ridiculous, silly, stupid in front of each other. And just to kind of tie it all back to what you said, Robbie, that's a part of it. That's one component of it, is the willingness to cry. That we get over that fast. And then we dive into the other shit of like, I'm not, all right, you're going to talk about your feelings. That's not what they're afraid of. They're afraid of when I tell them, I want you to go video yourself wearing a clown nose into a coffee shop and ordering a coffee and then post it in the group. And we're going to talk about this, because I want their ego to die in that moment. I want them
God, seriously? Is that
swear to
something
God.
that you do? Because I'll do that just for fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
comfortable
it is.
Robbie's
ourselves.
laughing. He's like, Steve would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are guys who are just like, that terrifies me because I have social anxiety.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and that's why I
Yeah.
push them to do it. And I'm just like, well, we're gonna get you over that. We're gonna get you over it fast. So yeah, that was a long answer to your question,
You
Robbie.
talked about something that two things super important, and you talked about a bunch, and you gave a bunch of examples and how they happen. You mentioned vulnerability,
Yeah.
and then you mentioned belonging.
Yeah.
Those two go hand in hand. Without one, you don't get the other. So without belonging, well, without vulnerability, you don't get belonging. You don't get that sense. That's the one thing that nobody, when you're in the before spot, when you can't put your finger on it, on what the thing is that you're missing, is the sense of belonging. I'll almost put money on it. It's the sense of, fuck that. I would put money on that. That it's a sense of belonging that you're missing. You can have everything else, but if the sense of belonging's not there, you're kind of wandering around a little lost. And you can't put words to it, but you're floating along. And that sense of belonging comes when you do that vulnerable shit like that, when you kill that ego, when you take the mask down, and then people get to know you for who you are, and you are showing other people who you are. And self-confidence and everything else seems to come straight from that. I know I'm talking from my own experience, because once I took the walls down, people started showing up for me differently because I showed up differently. And then when the mirror gets held up to you from someone else, whether it's another guy or another girl, the reflection of you that you get isn't fake anymore because the mask isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, shit, this is where love gets reflected back. This is where kindness gets reflected back. This is where and it doesn't bounce off anymore. You have no chance. You have no choice because you shown up. You didn't have the mask. And you have to, some guys, and like, our walls can be built up big time Great Wall of China type shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a tough wall when you know, the version of a masculine man you thought was puff out my chest. I'm big, I am strong, I am better, I am all of this. And all it is a one giant freaking wall to prove that you're strong when you don't even need to. You don't need to prove to anyone you're strong. Strength is being strong and having the willingness to not use it.
Yeah, I think that the external needs to match the internal. I think
Yeah.
that, and vice versa.
Like you have the
Because
capability.
there are guys going around puffing their chests out and spending their whole life in the gym to make sure that the external looks masculine, but it's not
Yeah.
rooted in any inner truth. And
Right.
it's a very, very frail surface masculinity that doesn't go very far, and people tend to see through it pretty quickly. But yeah, I agree with you that the foundation for belonging in brotherhood is vulnerability. It's vulnerability, and that's what creates a strong bond and a strong sense of belonging and love. But I also learned, and I'll segue if that's okay. I also learned that love without standard is is kind of indulgent, um, and it's
Ooh,
just and
this is good. I like
it
this.
it's
You
kind of just
go.
indulging in like, oh, this feels good, I feel validated, I feel like I belong. That's wonderful, but I'm not running a support group. I want you guys to love each other, but I also want you to make changes in your life, and that's why discipline is virtue number 2. Is that love without standards is just indulgence. And this is not a journey of you guys just indulging in each other. This is about change. It's about transformation. And discipline is a key part of that journey, because discipline is self-leading. And if you can't lead yourself, you're certainly not going to be able to lead your family. You're certainly not going to be able to lead a team at work. How are you? I mean, you could look at somebody like, I could look at you, and it was interesting what you were saying before about like the body that you're going for. I think that you look great, and I look at you and I see a disciplined man. You know what I mean? I look at you and I see that takes discipline. I know that takes discipline. Um, Discipline it earns us respect, but it also earns us self-respect. It gives us credibility with ourselves. If we can't keep our commitments to ourselves, how the fuck are we going to keep commitments to other people? What are we teaching and showing our kids if we can't control what we put into our fucking mouth? Like if we can't, if we just have these indulgent behaviors where, we drink, we smoke, and I say this free of judgment. I'll have a drink, I'll smoke some fucking weed, I'll take mushrooms, but like, these are things that I do with intention and consciousness, and I make choices that align with my values, as opposed to I'm just seeking escapism and I have no discipline and I have no restraint and I can't help myself. I need these things. So I'm going to jerk off to porn, constantly. I'm going to just scroll through my fucking phone in a goddamn dopamine loop because I can't help myself. No, not in the Iron Brotherhood. We nip that shit in the bud early. We nip that shit in the bud, and I think it is crucial, a crucial part, a foundational part of a man on a journey into masculinity and masculine energy, specifically because masculine energy is one that leads. How the hell is anybody going to trust you to lead them if they see that you don't know how to lead yourself?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very basic but it's simple and logical question. Is I'm not trusting anybody to lead me that I see can't lead themselves. And I've seen this come up a lot with husbands, boyfriends, even dads, where their kids are not taking them seriously as an authoritarian, or their wife or girlfriend for some reason is not trusting them to take lead, and she's entering into her masculine energy, and he can't put his finger on why. But then, as I dig deeper, I learned he's completely disorganized. That he gets stuck in these dopamine loops, or that he's indulgent with his diet, that he's not going to the gym, that he doesn't have any habit consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, brother, that's why. It's at least one reason why.
Yeah, you lose respect that way. It just happens. That I know. That was me.
You lived it?
I was the guy that was disorganized, that drank, that didn't have habits, that didn't like. I just had routines. They weren't habits. They weren't anything to do with good. I mean, I smoked, I drank, I went to work, I did the things that I was supposed to do. But did I actually keep a promise to myself? I kept the promise to myself that I would have another beer. I kept the promise to myself that I would pick the kids up. I kept the promise to myself that, I would make sure, I would cook dinner. I would still did the things. Problem is there was no substance to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what made you change your standard for yourself? Did you have like a rock bottom or a breaking point, or was it
I've
being
had a
around?
couple breaking points.
Okay.
I've had a couple breaking points. One was when I had to quit drinking because the lie got too big to carry.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was either throw a buddy under the bus or it was come clean.
And
And I
was that the
decided
catalyst or the thing that led to like, well, now I want to dial back smoking. I want to improve my other habits. I want to be healthy here. Did it start there?
that it started there. I was like, okay, I knew I needed to quit. Like those words never came out of my mouth, but I knew I needed to do something different.
Yeah.
So like it was, I just came clean. I came straight out clean. I said to my wife at the time that yes, I have a problem. And then I called my parents. I called my work the next day and I told them that I had a problem. And then I called my parents the next day and told them I had a problem. And then within that week, I had my ex-wife, she's my ex-wife now, but um, I had her family over for dinner and I told them in person that I had a problem. Tears streaming down my face, like embarrassed. I broke that fucking ego down within a week. Like I killed a lot of the old version of me, and I had no idea what I was going to do next.
Why do you think you needed to tell all those people? What meaning did that hold for you to put it out there?
If I gave that to them, there was no fucking way I could fail.
Because you made a commitment.
Right. And if I said to them all, and I was like, listen, I have a problem. I need help. And I don't know, I need your support. And I don't know what that's going to look like because I had no clue. I had no clue. Right. But that's all. I mean, if I just ask for support, I don't even know what that looks like. But then it's up to me for them to tell them. That's my responsibility. And it is. I didn't leave that up to them. Right. My responsibility was to me to not do this thing again and figure it out. That was just over 4 years ago. And so, and the last one was, and I think I've talked about this on this podcast. The last one was it last February? Not last February. The February before that. Was it last February? No, I was here last February. The February before that. Wow, man, time flies. Um, I went on a road trip because I was stuck in Ontario. Not stuck, but like still didn't know what the hell I was going to do with my life. And so I went on a road trip because it was dark and dreary and I wanted to go chase the sun. So I went on a 45-day road trip all the way down southern US and all around. Anyways, I was in backwoods Louisiana in the middle of freaking nowhere and I had a complete breakdown. No idea what I was going to do with my like I was not happy with where I was, with what I was doing, and I needed to do something different. I got in such a low spot there. And I think it had everything to do with I wasn't I it was at the point where I needed to choose whether I was going to believe in myself or not. And I couldn't put words to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had like a week and a half where I'd go on a hike and I'd be right near a cliff and I would think about what life would be like if I just slipped off of that by accident. And I would look down and I would shed a tear and wonder. And then I realized that was not what I wanted for my life anymore. I had to do something fucking different. So instead of jumping, I decided to believe in myself. I took the different kind of jump. And so I packed my shit up And I gave myself 3 months to figure out what I was going to do with myself. And I moved over here on the western slope of Colorado because it's beautiful and I love the mountains and this place feels like home. Like, okay, fine, follow your fucking gut and see what happens. Trust it for once. Believe in yourself for once. Don't do, everyone thinks you're crazy for doing what you're doing, following your heart. And I've done more incredible shit in the last year and change moving here than I have. I've done more incredible shit since I quit drinking than I have in the, like, what feels like the 30 years before that.
I think that it takes a lot of courage for to choose self-belief. It takes a lot of courage, but there's something else that I feel like you did, um, at least through my lens. That's what I see. In addition to that self-belief and that courage, and it ties back to what you said about how you owned it to so many people, and how you spoke those words and you completely took ownership. And I think that it is one of the foundations, one of the foundational steps of becoming more disciplined. It is one of the sub virtues, if you will, of discipline, and that's honoring commitments. You, by doing that, you made a commitment to those people in your life. And I think that deep down, whether you knew that consciously or it was deep in your subconscious, I think deep down you felt compelled to share it with all those people, because if your belief started to waver at any point, you still could not break your commitment to them. So you made a commitment to yourself and you made a commitment to all of those people. And even on the days where your self belief was shaky, it's your discipline that kept you going. You had a lot of discipline in that. Self belief, it's a beautiful thing and it can make us unstoppable, but it can be shaky. And that's where discipline comes in. That's when we get to default to discipline and fall back on discipline, because discipline isn't shaky. Discipline is rhythm. Discipline is, I do it even when I'm not feeling motivated. I have a routine and I know what I need to do and what I need to not do, even when I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling, even if I feel like shit, even if I don't believe in myself. Um, and that's discipline. That's it's crucial. And it sounds like that's I mean, I again, it's through my lens, bro, but it feels like that's very much how you made that shift.
Yeah, it's very much tired of putting up with my own shit. And I keep finding new levels of my own shit that I get tired of putting up with. That's it. And surrounding myself with good people. One of the things that I do often is I call myself out. Robbie will tell you that. I'll call myself out all the time. Once I see it, I'm like, fuck, here we go. Robbie, guess what? And I'll tell him. Because I know if I don't get it out, for me, how I operate, if it doesn't exit, it'll stay in here and it'll roll around and I'll keep punting it over and over and over again until I spit it out of my mouth and I give it away. And as soon as I give it away, I start getting tired of my own shit and then I'll do something about it. As soon as I tell Robbie, I'm like, this is the thing. And he doesn't even have to say, what are you going to do anymore?
I've learned to do this myself too. Steve's called me out on this before too. Um, just giving space, hearing us speak our own shit or saying it, writing it, doesn't matter, right? Uh, once it leaves you, you are in charge. That's where the discipline comes in, right? You have to grab it by the balls if you want change, and discipline. There you go. If you don't want to change, well, that's on you. If you don't speak it or whatever it is, you just live with it and go on about your way miserable. And that's something, a part of the journey that is so beautiful, so uncomfortable, but to have men around us that we can tell anything whatever it is to, and they don't have to speak anything back.
Mm-hmm.
That is so hard. I'm still learning, and Steve has helped me learn a lot with this. I was always a fixer. Steve would say something's going on, and I would give him all the shit how to fix it. Throw that back on myself. I wouldn't know how to fucking fix it. I wouldn't do what I just told myself or told Steve to do because I didn't have any discipline. So now the discipline is just giving that space and letting Steve have his space. Then, vice versa with men. It's just like, be there for each other. We don't want fixes. We just want to be able to talk, hear ourselves out loud. And that, I know for me, has been like the best thing, is just to hear myself say my own shit. And I've caught myself so many times like, Steve, I was just telling you something. I just realized my problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh shit, I know how to fix this. It's simple. It's going to take some discipline, but I can fix it. And most of the time, it's just getting stuck in my own head, ruminating on something, not getting something done, keep putting it off, all those little simple things. And it's weird for me because, like, on the physical side, discipline comes really easy. That's been all easy my whole life. Anything physical discipline's been easy. But for my own self-worth, I have learning how to have discipline is the hardest thing that I've had to do. And it's a day by day thing. Some days are good, some days are bad, right? But I don't beat myself up over it anymore. Sometimes I do, not gonna lie. But being able to have that discipline, even though when you were talking about, Frank, when you don't want to, you're not motivated. After we do it, right, how do we feel?
We always
What?
feel good.
Yeah, like we
Always.
can conquer the world, right? We're like,
Yeah.
man, that was so hard, but I'm done. Yeah, it's amazing.
The delayed gratification. That's what discipline is, being willing to go through some discomfort, some pain, and get the delayed gratification, the good kind of dopamine hit of, wow, I did that, I'm proud of myself. Sounds like discipline saved both of your lives. It certainly saved mine. And I just want to quickly debunk just a few things about discipline, because I think discipline is a bit of it's a trigger word for some people, and they don't like it, and they feel averse to it. It's just like, ugh, it feels militant, it feels rigid. Discipline is not rigidity. That's one of the biggest misconceptions about discipline, is that it is not rigidity. And Robbie, you kind of alluded to this, spoke to it a little bit, is that it's not about being perfect. It's about recognizing that you're going to have some days where you deviate and then you just get back on track. It's recognizing that life is an ongoing journey of deviating from the way, but finding your way back as quickly as possible. It's not perfection. Discipline is not perfection. Yes, there's David Goggins. Yes, there's other people out there that you may be following in your feed on Instagram or on TikTok that seem like they're doing it perfectly. They're probably not, but even if they are, it doesn't matter. That's not what you need to strive for. That's not what discipline is. It's not rigidity. It's rhythm. It's rhythm.
Showing up and trying.
Yeah. And you get that momentum. And the other thing that I want people to start recognizing is that discipline, aka structure is freedom. That as soon as your life becomes more structured, those of you out there who are listening to this and you hear me and you're just like, oh, I don't like structure. I feel shackled when I have structure. I feel imprisoned when I have to adhere to this or adhere to that. Please, don't trust me. Don't take my word for it. Try it yourself. Or talk to the guys in the Iron Brotherhood. When you have that routine, it actually buys you more time in your life. It brings you more freedom. Your life has more of a flow. There's more momentum. You get more things done, and you find yourself having more time, not less. Structure equals freedom. You will feel liberated from it.
It does.
Not the other way around. You will not feel paralyzed. The chaos is actually gonna be reduced. Your stress levels are gonna go down, and you're gonna feel like you're more in control of your life. I think these are two of the biggest things that are misunderstood about discipline. Is that you're gonna feel like you're in shackles? No, you're gonna feel more free. Feel more
It
free.
feels like shackles. It feels like shackles at the start because it's so different than
Because
what
it's
you're
different.
used to.
Yes.
It's just different. It's foreign,
Right.
right? So it feels like, oh my god, you're putting this structure around, right? But the thing is, once you have the structure and you figure out what it looks like in that structure, you can then structure it and be flexible around that because you understand what's good for you and what's not,
Yes.
right? And you don't figure that one out unless you go out and create the structure and create. You can take what works for you and leave the rest, but you have to try and do the things to recognize what doesn't and what does. Because if you're a dude listening out there right now and you're like, none of that shit's going to work for me, I'm going to ask you how many times you've actually tried it and how long have you tried it for? Because if you only gone to the gym for a week and you're like, that shit don't work, or if you've been on a diet and you for a week or a month and you're like, that shit don't work, you haven't done it long enough. You just haven't,
Again,
right?
that's because of the misconception that
Yeah,
discipline is perfection. So what happens? They deviate once and they say, "Oh, fuck it. I knew this wasn't for me. I
right.
knew I was going to fail at this." No, no,
It's
no. I have days that I miss the fucking gym, and I'm just like, "Oh, damn it. I have 2. I have 3 on some weeks where I'm just like, but after day 3, I'm just like, all right, Frank, I don't care how late you got to stay up tomorrow. You're going no matter what. But again, the idea is not just recognizing that we're going to deviate, planning for it. Planning for it. I am going to likely deviate from my diet. It doesn't mean you lower your standard for yourself, but you recognize that that is not your reason for throwing out the baby with the bathwater and saying discipline isn't for me. Nope. It's par for the course. You're going to deviate and then you get back on track. Yeah, you can't get the fuckets as soon as you fail. You have to prepare for failure. You have to recognize that failure is par for the course.
You can
Discipline
get the
is imperfect.
fuckets. You just have to say, fuck it, I'm going to go try again.
I'm going to try again. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Amen.
Growth comes from failure.
That's right.
It does.
Yeah.
All the time.
A lot of these guys in the group, they fell short on their morning routines. But then what happens is they fail and they recognize something that needs to be adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
And then they plan for it next time. And they're like, oh, I'm going to adjust this. Or, oh, I know how to set myself up for this going forward. That's what discipline does. That's what discipline does. And the understanding that it's imperfect action. It's progress over perfection. And it's being willing to embrace imperfection, which is difficult for some people, for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, just working with clients in the past, especially ones trying to lose weight, right? A lot of times where they would have a cheat day, then 2 days cheat day, 3 days of cheat day. Then at one point they're just like, "Fuck it, I've already messed up," and then they come back in, and we're doing our thing, and I've asked them, how's their eating been for the week and all that stuff. Then, oh, I screwed up, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Let's start fresh. And it's really hard when you tell someone it's okay because they have so much distrust in themselves, so hard on themselves that they've screwed up. And I'm just like, I don't care. Like you're gonna have to learn how to do this. I can't hold your hand. Um, we'll get through it, baby steps, whatever it takes. If you got to call me or you got to send me a text, whatever, I don't care. I'm here to help you. But it's just a little bump in the road. And I always tell people that it's just a little bump in the road. If you don't have those bumps and everything looks perfect, how is your life going to be when there is that bump and you do mess up? It is going to set you back so far that you're not going to be able to how to make another adjustment. So this is a good thing. Just keep making adjustments, like you're saying. Nothing's going to be perfect.
Not going to be perfect. It's a very difficult thing to let go of. or to embrace, imperfection. But yeah, letting people know, like, okay, cool. That's what I have the guys in the group do. Is I tell them, I say, once we get into month 2 discipline and they commit to their morning routines, they check in every day, every morning in the group chat. But I tell them, I don't want you to just check in on the days that you've executed perfectly your morning routine. I want you to check in on the days that you don't too. I want you to say, I didn't do it, because then you're owning it. But I still want you to make it a routine that you're checking in some way. Okay, you get a pass. Oh, day 2, you've missed it again. That's when one of your brothers is going to be like, hey, man, everything okay? You all right? Yeah, I'm just hosting family this week. I'm planning on getting back into my routine tomorrow. Cool. All right. Awesome. You got this, bro. So it's that's the commitment side of discipline. And it's the recognizing that it's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just you have to have a rhythm. You have to have a rhythm. Don't break that rhythm for too long. You could break it for a day. You could break it for 2. You go on vacation for a week. When you get back, it's going to feel like it's brand new again. And you just have to accept that. It's going to feel like it's brand new again, but you'll build those habits back. Yeah. But that's discipline, man.
And right now for me, I love bringing personal examples and personal stories into things.
Yeah.
And right now for me, I just started a full-time job. So I mean, I had time, so I could wake up and I could have a slow morning and I could go to the gym at 9:00 because there was 9:00 class. You know what I mean? Like, take my time. And that all started when I was in school, and I didn't have class until 10:30 or 11:00, so I could go to the 9:00 class, and then I could make that part of and I made it part of my routine. It fit. I fit it in. Well, now I work 9 or 8 to 5. So I've got to
You got to adjust.
completely, everything's upended,
Yep.
right?
You got to rewrite your whole routine.
I got to rewrite the whole routine. I'm in day 3 of rewriting the whole routine.
Yeah.
And yesterday, because right now, if you were going to ask me, I don't want to wake up at 4:00 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning and go to the gym
I hear you.
at 5 a.m. This is what I don't want to do this right now.
But then you know what that means.
What?
You know what that means if you're not going to do it in the morning.
Right. Right. I know that.
No matter how tired you are, you got to go after work.
And that's where I'm at. Like, I did this yesterday. I did it yesterday, right? Because I'm like, your mind does funny things. Okay, I don't want to wake up that early, but I can go to the 7:00 class, and that's done at 8. Or sorry, not done at 8. I can go to the 6:00 class, and that's done at 7. And then what do? Scoot home. It's a 15-minute drive. Have a quick shower. Whatever. Scoot back. I'm like, that's a waste of time because the gym's 2 minutes from work. Like, they're not far away, right? So my brain's just telling me I'm wasting my time with the in between. Anyways, so I'm like, I'll toss the morning out and I'll still have my slow morning. And so I went to the gym yesterday at 5:30 because I was done at 5. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, I didn't prepare at all nutrition wise for that. I had a really light lunch, and I'm going, this is gonna be nasty. It's hot out. And so, like, I got 3/4 of the way through, and I knew it was. I got 3/4 of the way through the workout, and I'm regretting not eating a more solid lunch, not being more prepared. This is how I operate, right? Like, I operate. I'm like, okay, wow, dude, you need to prepare yourself way better than this because what a horrible experience you had. Like, and it's the truth, right? But okay, I still went. I did the thing. I was bagged at the end. 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, dude, you feel like puking. I still went through it. I still did the things. I reduced my reps a little bit so I can make the time, but still, I did the thing. I put my shoes on. I showed up at the front door, and so I got to look at, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? I haven't made it that far yet. I haven't thought about this enough. But what am I going to do tomorrow? Am I going to do the 7:00 thing because I really enjoyed the morning workout? Or am I going to do?
Oh, I think you got to try all of them. It's going to be some trial and error.
Yeah, and so that's True story. That's where I'm at right now.
I hear
Because
you, man.
you talk about routine and you talk about that sort of stuff right now. Everything's straight up upended.
You're in the thick of rewriting your routine, and that absolutely means trial and error. And I think actually sometimes discipline allows for some flexibility. I definitely have a couple guys out there. I'm one of them, that I approach my day in a way where it's like I aim to be at the gym at this time, but I also offer myself some flexibility but it can be this time. I'd aim to go in the afternoon. I like to have a couple meals in me before I hit the gym, and then I aim to go in the afternoon. But I also reserve the right to say, nah, I'm in the thick of like this work right now, and I'm really into it. I don't want to step away, but I know what that means. That means I have to go tonight. I have to go no matter how tired I am, no matter how hungry I am. I have to go. So I reserve the right to make that decision in the middle of my day, but I also know what that means later.
The consequence of it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So that's my flexibility that I give myself. It's still disciplined, but it's disciplined with a little flexibility on it could be this time or it could be that time. And that works for me. And I'm okay with that. You might have to do the same thing here. Is that maybe some mornings you're going to be like, oh, I'm at work. It's 8 or 9 o'clock. I already got my workout's already behind me. That feels amazing. At the end of this day, I get to go home. But there may be some mornings where you're like, I just don't feel like it this morning. I don't want, but I know what that means. That means that I'm going to have to go after work, whether I'm hungry or not. So you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I operate like for some whatever reason it is, and I don't even eat breakfast before I work out. I just have a shake, and I have a coffee in the morning, and I have a shake, and I drink some water, and I go there. And my best workouts are in the morning.
Yeah.
They just are. I feel like I've got a bunch of energy, and sometimes I just hit a groove where I'm doing all of the things, and I'm just ripping through. I'm like dancing to the music, and I'm like just into it. You know what I mean? And then
What kind of music you listening to?
whatever it is at the gym, man. Whatever it is at
Oh,
the gym.
you don't do like, you don't have like your gym playlist?
No, man. It is the gym. They just blare it over the speakers inside the gym, and it is what it is. And sometimes a song just hits, and you're doing burpees or whatever it is, and you got the head jam going
Yep.
on, and
Yeah.
you're exhausted, and it's neat when you get stuck in a groove like that. And
Totally.
I never thought I would be the guy that would say that, because I never thought I would be the guy that went to a gym or would ever have a gym membership.
Oh, that's me too, man. That's me too. Like
So
I have my headset in. I have my headset in, and I'm jamming to whatever I'm jamming to. But sometimes my head is bopping like crazy. And what's funny is that like the other people around me, they can't hear it. They don't know. They don't. I've been told by a couple people before that like when I think I'm just mouthing the words, that I'm actually whispering them. uh, and they're like, "Oh, Smashing Pumpkins," and I'm just like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Okay." I didn't realize I was actually saying the words. Yeah, today was I started with 9 Inch Nails today. I was like, I want something on the heavier side. But yeah, man.
you know what's
I'm with
weird?
you. What?
So completely off topic like
No,
we
it's
are right
fine.
now.
Well, I got through all my shit. So
You did,
we
yeah.
could, yeah.
I'm on a Creed kick right now.
Creed. Okay.
I've got the song Weathered just stuck in my head, and I don't know what it is, but I'm walking around humming it away, and I just turned it on in the truck a couple of times, and I've just blared the motherfucker, and I don't
That's
know what
cool.
it is. It's playing on repeat, and I'm walking around humming it. I don't know why. I haven't listened to Creed in a good long while,
That
but
happens to me sometimes. I get stuck on a song. Like, and it could
yeah.
be something from like the 90s, that I hadn't listened to in forever. And then I get back to it, and like, and 44-year-old me is kind of just like, this is a really good song. And I'm just like, I
Yeah.
had no idea how good this was, or like now, if I go back and I listen to like a teenage album, there are times where like the songs that I skipped, I'm like, wow, I didn't like that then. This is a really good track. Or
So
the songs
yeah,
that I loved, I'm like, this is okay. Yeah.
right.
No, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah.
I can't think of who I did that with recently. I think it was Guns N' Roses.
GNR.
Yeah, Use Your Illusion too was the first album that I owned, and I was going through, and like I forget what the track was, but there were a couple tracks on there that like I skipped when I was a kid, when I was like 12. I skipped them, And I listened to them this time, and I was like, no, that's a good song.
Too funny.
Oh man,
Robbie, you got anything left?
Nope. I got a
I think
screaming kid at me telling me I need to go.
All right. So yeah, it's time to shut her down. It's the longest episode yet.
oh, it's a long one. I just looked
It's-
down. Yeah,
it's all
right.
That's
good.
awesome.
It's all
No,
good.
This was a great conversation. I'm excited for the
Great
next two.
conversation. I'm sure these next ones, whoever's still listening, looks like I pulled it up here so I could see how many viewers we had because I was curious.
Oh man, I wish I could see.
I've got two screens here. What you can't see is there's another one, right? So I can Google stuff and I can do all the things while we're here and I can still see you guys. So
Did you have any? Did you get any questions?
no, actually nobody, no questions this time. Imp is one of the guys that I know. He plays a game that I play on my phone,
Okay.
and he's a member of the game that I play. Anyways, he has watched almost every one of these episodes, and he watches them live when he can. He's been here and he's watched this whole thing. I want to say thank you to him.
Yeah, thank you.
Imp is his
Imp.
name.
Imp is
what's
his
up,
name.
bro? Thanks for checking us out, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for listening to me ramble. I'm long-winded. Yeah, I said that.
He
to you
is
on the voice note
long-winded.
the other day.
He is. He is. Man, I could fly a kite.
I said that to, I'm embarrassed. I said that to Steve the other day in a voice note. I left what was it, like a 7-minute voice note, maybe longer. And at the end I was like, oh, I'm long-winded, bro. And he responded. And I love the way you responded, by the way. It's just total honesty and transparency, which I so appreciate. You weren't just like, nah, man, nah, don't worry about it. It's good. You were like, yeah, I've noticed. But I felt better when you sent me like a 6-minute voice note back because I was just like, all right, that we're good. We're good.
At the end of that one, I said that. So at the end of that one, I said it's okay because I'm long-winded too.
And I felt better about myself.
It's you're gonna get. I live my life placating to people on a regular basis, and I mean, there's a way you can still be kind and still be honest at the same
of course.
time, right? And we already feel like friends, so you can be like that. So it's great. I love being candid. I love being honest, and I love speaking from my heart. I think you've already noticed that.
100%.
Robbie does too. It's great to have you on. We got 4 more topics to share, 2 more episodes. So this is going to be back to back to back Frankathon and talking about some really cool things that deal with masculinity and what are the 6 core parts of it that, Frank, when I went on your website and took a peek and did some more research and hung around there a little while, what you're doing is great work, and I can only imagine the effect that it's had on the men that have decided to be a part of what you're doing. And what I want to say is thank you for your work and thank you for making this important. I think men in general right now more than ever, because of the social attack on masculinity that's happened in this past, seems like 5 years, but could be even longer. But when I hop on social media and my social media feed turns around and says like, we don't need men at all, it's like, you're ridiculous.
Right.
When it comes, especially when it comes from women, and that's where it's coming from. And I don't want to go on this giant diatribe. I just, the honest to goodness truth is there's people out there that believe that wholeheartedly. Believe what you want. What the truth really is, at least what I think, and I've said this here a bunch of times too, is that we need each other. We need each other. We need men to be men. We need women to be women. And that's not to be belittling. We're all going to have to, sometimes men step into their feminine just so we can reach each other on a heart to heart level.
Yeah.
And that's not diminishing. And women need to step in their masculine because they need to reach us on our level, or pick up the slack or whatever that is. Supporting each other and being there for each other. We're different for a reason. Anyways, I'll shut up and I
That
can
was
talk about.
long-winded of you, Steve.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Frank. You're welcome. There's a 6-minute message.
Bro, thank you. Thank you for what you said. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it, and it's a good reminder. It's good to hear, to be reinforced by brothers who share similar values as me. So thanks. I agree with you that I'm bringing masculinity back. I'm making it cool again. That's my mission. In a nutshell, that's my mission, is to bring back masculinity and to build a generation of masculine leaders, because we do need it. We do need men. We need men. Women need men. Children need men, and men need men. The other thing I wanted to say is next time when we talk about courage and vitality, we'll probably be able to trim like 30 minutes off of that, because I don't have to give the same intro that I gave. I don't have to give my backstory like I gave on this one.
And that wasn't even the long-winded version.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that was
I prefaced it by saying this is the short version, and then I gave you a 3-minute monologue. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this up here real quick because Robbie does need to get.
That's right.
To
Sorry,
get going.
Robbie.
So thanks for
That's
being
all good.
patient, Robbie. If you're a man out there that is feeling lonely and disconnected, and you don't know what to do and you don't know who to reach out to, there's 3 men here that are willing to listen. There's 3 men here that are willing to support. I say this at the end of every episode because I think it's important, because that was me at one point, and I got lucky because I had an alcohol problem. And if you have an alcohol problem, it's easy to find support. It exists out there for you. And you don't have to have a problem to still want support and still want help and still want to be better you, and not understand how to do that. You don't have to suffer in loneliness. You don't have to do this alone. We do this better together. So if you're a guy out there and you hear this and that's something that you think you need, you can reach out to us on Instagram. You can write a comment here, leave us a way to hit you up, and we will. So thank you, Frank. Looking forward to our next conversation. Robbie, love you, brother.
Love you too.
And we'll see you all the next time. I don't know. We'll figure out when we're going to record the next one here and go from there. Thank you, guys. Thank you to our listeners and everyone who watched this live episode.